Hello everyone, so welcome back to Yoga by Stephanie Maya, and I thought it'd be great if I did a mini series called Foundations of Yoga. So there are many poses that we're going to explore together in detail. So we're going to start with downward facing dog. That is a fundamental pose of yoga. When you think of yoga, you think of downward facing dog. And it's so funny because it's actually a resting pose and many beginners do not think so. I did not think so. So it's when I started to find rest in downward facing dog that I realized that this pose is actually the holy grail. So we're gonna start this mini series with that particular pose. So when you're ready, spread your mat, we'll get started. We're gonna come into downward facing dog. However, let's set up our base. So you want to ensure that our shoulders are in line with our wrists and our hips are in line with our knees. From here, we're gonna curl the toes under. We're gonna activate our shoulders. So we're gonna have an internal rotation already before we even get up into the air. We're gonna have a slight lift in the hips, sorry. So we're not hovering. This is what we call hovering cat. And from here, we're just gonna peel the hips up. We're gonna lead ourselves up through our hips and send them back. I like to think of my chest trying to reach towards my thighs. And depending on how flexible you are in your calves, your heels will either be on the floor or a little raised. It generally does not matter. You can still get the same benefits. But over time, of course, your heels will come to the floor. I remember when I just started, my heels were all the way up here. So that's nothing to worry about. So anyway, I'm pushing my chest towards my thighs, and as I do so, I'm maintaining this internal rotation. Let me just come out of the pose to show you what I mean. So my shoulders are internally rotating, so they're going towards my midline, and I'm pushing through. So it's like if I wanted to attempt a handstand, I'm pushing the floor away from myself. As I push away, my shoulders are internally rotated, and that's what gives me the foundation. So when you're in the air for any inversion, your shoulders perform the same function as your hips. So your stabilizer is no longer your hips, it's actually your shoulders. So with that in mind, you're gonna internally rotate your shoulders, armpits facing each other. And that's what yoga teachers mean by armpits facing each other, because why is my armpit facing the other one? But yeah, so your armpits facing each other, you're having an internal rotation, you're pushing away from the floor. So already you're really activated. So by the time you lift the hips up, it's like nothing. Well, it's not like nothing, but it's so much easier, right? And if you feel like you're slipping, because that used to happen to me a lot as a beginner, I used to ensure that I grip the mat for dear life. So I focus on my index. This is the index, right? I focus on my index and my thumb. So this here is where I have most of my grip. So I'm basically planting my hand on the mat. I'm here. And for my feet, sometimes you can have like your toes can internally rotate. So your thighs have a internal rotation here as well, or parallel. It does not matter. When I first started, I kept it internally rotated because for some reason that just really helped stabilize myself. And if you feel yourself sinking down, just push away from the ground, internally rotate those shoulders, breathe deeply, engage the abs, and once you engage the core, it's easy for you to push your chest towards your thighs. And there you have it, a really strong downward facing dog. And from here, if you want, you can pedal the legs, work on that hamstring flexibility and calf flexibility, because the splits and all those fancy fandangles, you actually need the calves for that as well. It's not just the hamstrings and the quad. When you're ready, you can lift your leg up. Keep the weight maintained in your shoulders, because remember, your shoulders are not acting as your hips. You like a dog, open the hips slightly. Nice. And come down. Lift the other leg up. Open the hips slightly. Internally rotate it. And come down. And there you have it. That's your downward facing dog. I hope you had a great success with it. I love that pose so much. And the more you practice it, the more it's going to become second nature too. And downward dog can lead in so many other things. Dolphin pose, forearm stands. So it's a journey. So I hope you enjoyed this first foundation video. I'll see you at the next one.